We'll go right into our messages for today without wasting too much time. First message is a little lengthy, but certainly worth listening to. So it says, "Hi, sisters. I've been married for 7 years with 2 kids. Since we got married, my wife has never stayed with me for more than 3 months at a time. We used to live close to her parents' house, so she visited them regularly. When we had our first child, her mom came to stay with us to help to take care of the child. After my wife's maternity leave was over, my mother-in-law left with the reason that her husband needed her. It became difficult to manage the baby and work, so we decided to send the child to her mom and visit every weekend, which worked for us. Second child came. Same cycle followed. I've completed my house and relocated. The new place is a bit far from my in-laws' residence. Since the relocation 2 years ago, my wife has refused to move in. She still lives with her parents and rather visits me and the kids. She also sometimes prepares food that will last us some weeks. I complained to her grandma and mother, and her grandmother told me she doesn't see anything wrong with what is happening. So if I want to divorce her, I should just go ahead and tell them. Her mother also told me her daughter doesn't like to be forced against her will, so she can't force her. As for her father, he has never even broached the subject. I've had several meetings with her to no avail. Counselors have even stepped in, but she still wouldn't consider or reconsider. Can you imagine, we all live in Accra, but there are times I don't see my wife for 3 months straight. If she comes for the kids to her mother's place, then no visit at all. She has threatened me several times with divorce, and I feel like she doesn't know what she's talking about, so I usually brush it off. She sometimes tells me to go for another lady because she doesn't see a future with me. I'm from a Christian home where divorce is not allowed, but I've reached a point where I can't take it anymore. I feel like cheating on her to satisfy my sexual needs. Secondly, I don't want to divorce her and start a new family with a different woman because it might create problems in the future. I've witnessed problems in my uncle's life because he had children with different women. As I'm writing to you, I haven't set eyes on her for 2 months. Talk less of having intimacy. It's really tough for me since I'm in the prime of my life. What should I do? Wow. Okay. Let's bring this in studio.
Oh, you're looking at me?
Yes, Gail, I'm looking at you.
Oh, wow.
What do you think about this?
This is heavy. I wonder why they got married in the first place, because there usually has to be a purpose for getting married to somebody. There should be a purpose. It could be financial, it could be for sex, it could be for...
procreation?
Yes. So I don't know if they really defined, the dynamics of their relationship, because... from the way he's going about things, it's like he's on a one-man, should I say, project thing, like he's on his own. And then the wife keeps also threatening him with a divorce, and says she can get somebody else. And her family is also saying they can't tell her what to do and stuff like that. But like I always say, I keep repeating myself, marriage is not a person. It's not a person. It's a state where like 2 people come together, decide to live together, they sign documents and stuff like that. So the 2 of you should have control of how things go, depending on the structures that you have put in place. So if one person keeps feeling like someone is not committing to, should I say, the dynamics of the marriage, then it's like first of all, then you don't have a marriage. You're on your own. And he keeps saying he's a Christian, so he doesn't want to have a divorce. I don't know what he means by that, because at the end of the day, your partner is not even on the same page with you on what the marriage is about. So whether I don't see what your religion has got to do with the state of things at the moment. You have to be practical. People take the marriage thing so literally to the point that you lose sight of the substance of why you're with the person. The lady is not really invested in you, you're not fulfilled, and you're worried about your religion, and you don't want to, I say he doesn't want to have problems in future, and
yes,
his uncle also
his uncle, yeah.
You're not your uncle. you're not your uncle, and your wife is also not your uncle's wife at the end of the day. And what's staring at you in the face is the fact that it's not working out. You see, kids or not, it's not going anywhere. And you moved away, to a new place. And your wife is supposed to know that marriages and relationships have to have growth. It has to grow. And so even if you get married to somebody, you're living in a certain way, and now you move to a different environment, I don't understand why she's not making those changes with you as well. So I want to find out, what did they talk about before they got married? What was the plan? What did they talk about? What are we going to do if we have kids, or if we get to have our own place? Or did he build a place on his own for himself without her having a say? You see? And you see, when you hear a one-sided story, it's very difficult to give an informed, advice, because if we ask the lady, she might also say maybe there are things the guy does maybe she doesn't like. Maybe he doesn't involve her in the maybe the planning of the marriages, and maybe the decisions he makes. Maybe he doesn't involve her as well. So it's hard to understand where her mind is at. But if you're feeling the way you feel, I think, for me, you should just check out. Because she seems to have checked out. Her grandmother told you that if you think you don't like the way things are going, you should divorce her. And she's also threatening you with that. And for me, I see this as an abuse. She's abusing you mentally. And I know that marriage is not only about sex, but at least sex is part of the how you express your desire for somebody. And the man seems to be missing out on that. Looks like it's very important to him as well. So if you're not being fulfilled in all those stages, and I don't see, I've said all I've said, but at the end of the day, I don't think, if she doesn't want, there's nothing you can do about it.
Sure.
So I think you should just let it go.
Let me bring in Sabi.
Yeah.
Weigh in on this for me, darling. What are your thoughts?
Marriage for me it involves more than one person, right? So by its very definition, marriage is a bond between two people. So if one person leaves that bond, then there's no marriage, And from what he's saying, it looks like the woman has started putting her personal needs over the relationship. So I think he must ask himself some important questions, and he must take a really honest look at this relationship. And the first question must be just looking at the history. Aside from this current situation, has the relationship been good overall? And for me, it's been happening for years, from what he's saying, since the first child was born, And so for me, a strong marriage creates a strong family and a community. There doesn't seem to be a community here. He doesn't have the support of her family. He says he's spoken to the grandmother, he's spoken to the mother. None of them seem to be open to trying to help with the situation. He talks about the fact that there's been counselors, they've gone to counselors, and she has no interest. So I totally get, though, I can feel that this man is in pain. And I think the saddest thing is, even beyond the pain, is he's now shrouded in shame. He's put a lot of things in place, and he's saying now, I'm a Christian, therefore I can't divorce. And also, this situation is shrouded in fear. So he's mentioning other people that he's seen that have gone through this. And for himself, this is not the dream he had when he thought about having a family. And I think what this is he needs to mourn the dream he had, because the dream he had doesn't exist. And that's the sad thing. I understand why he's holding on, because he thought, I'm going to get married, I'm going to build this house, we're going to be in love, we're going to have these children. And unfortunately, they're having two different relationships. And what I'm sensing is the woman is trying to push him away.
Right.
And he's holding on, and he's saying, no, that's not going to happen. It's not possible. But it's staring him in the face. So the best thing I can say to him, and I understand that when someone is in pain, it's not easy to make a decision. He's still holding on. So give yourself a time period. Give yourself a time period. Make the first move again, talk to her again, take a look at yourself, take a look at what you're bringing into this relationship, take a look at anything that you're responsible for, talk less and maybe listen more, ask her what the issues are, what is she struggling with, what is the problem? In regards to therapy, if you've been going to your pastor, maybe go to a neutral party, find somebody else, but give yourself a time frame. This has been going on for a long time. Whether you tell yourself you're going to do these things for the next 6 months or to a year, stay on that. And just, if it has to happen, mourn it. This dream does not exist. It doesn't. I'm sorry to say, but this woman has moved on.
Yeah. I think that looks quite obvious. Exactly. Rosie, weigh in.
Yeah, I agree with Sabi, but what I'll probably want to add is that I have a feeling that from the onset, the relationship was not balanced. So it's possible that the man probably felt too lucky to have a woman like this. So the woman was probably more influential in the relationship. The family was possibly more influential in the relationship. They were probably living in a rented apartment. I don't know who paid for that apartment. So he slowly got himself together and then built his own apartment now, where he's moved to. His wife is probably thinking that, look, I don't like that area. You're living in maybe a cantonment or a Laboni. You're going to build a house in some Dodowa or someplace. And she's probably thinking that, no, this is not my style. This is not my status. And for me, you see, when you are getting married, the other family that you are marrying into, in spite of everything, they need to respect you out of the love they have for their daughter. That's what makes marriages stick. Now, if marriage is so funny, you get angry with your partner. I remember there was a time I was so angry with my husband. I packed everything and I went to my mother's house that, you know what, I'm tired. The baby is young and he keeps banging doors and the baby will wake up and he would have a sound sleep. And now I'm stuck with trying to put this baby to bed, and it was so upsetting. Every day, I just packed Dante into the car and drove straight to Kwashiman. Of course, my mom allowed me to come. The next morning, my mom invited my husband and said, Rosie, please go and wear your shorts, go and buy plantain. Dan is coming home. You understand?
Yeah.
You see, maybe the person is upset. Okay, fine, welcome the person. But beyond that, a family that respects the other party coming to marry their daughter would at least try, make an effort
listen to both sides
to see what is happening. But the way the whole family, look, this is what I think. Maybe the agenda was, Charlie, get a man, just have your children.
Yeah.
For us, our family is rich enough to take care of the children and manage that guy out of your life. This guy loves you so much, he will do anything for you. So just use his sperm freely instead of going to a sperm bank to buy expensive. No, just use it freely. Then after some time, you know what you have to do to get... Unfortunately, this is a man who is also stuck to his principle, because not many men would survive this torture. And it is torture for this length of period. You understand? You are living somewhere. When the story was going, I thought that she was living with the children at her parents' place. Then I would say that probably has to do with caregiving and stuff like that. Yeah. But if the children are able to come to the man's place, and then she will move from the woman from her house, then it means that it has nothing to do with the children. It has everything to do about her. So my thing is that, look, I don't think you were ever really respected as the man of your family from day one. I don't think that your in-laws really, really wanted you. I mean, they have a bigger say, a higher say. They are probably more influential, probably more financially sound, or they probably felt like their daughter deserves better. And they just used your sperm to reproduce and have children. So I think the best you can do is that, yes, you can promise to have your children, but I think you need to move on, because this is torture. Mental torture, emotional torture. It's actually physical torture too. Because Charlie, sex, like I keep saying, is not the most important thing in a marriage, but it is the most important thing in a marriage. Because when sex is good, it doesn't take anything away. But when it's bad or not existent, it takes everything away.
It's true.
So I think that, look, this for me is a marriage that you need to emotionally, mentally, psychologically work out of. And strategize. Now, being in a new relationship doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have children. There are people who actually agree to have relationships with no children. And even if you have children, it's about how you bring up both kids and how you involve. It's not like you are chasing somebody because it's not like you're cheating on your wife with somebody and then After that, you end up with the person. That enmity is not there. You can have a clean break from your wife, spend a couple of years finding yourself, loving yourself, at least, healing. And then when you find somebody else, I don't think anybody will blame you for finding somebody else.
No way.
And I'm sure the children will be socialized properly. So this situation is probably very different from your uncle's situation. So I think that everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves some amount of trust, unless, of course, you break the trust in a relationship. It's very important. So all those ingredients are missing. They don't respect you. So please, my gentleman, I think that you need to emotionally, psychologically, mentally check out. And then as you do that, the physical checking out would also happen. And then you can have your life back. Yeah. That's what I think.
I'm not going to talk a lot. I think the ladies have said it all. It's so obvious that she doesn't want you.
Yeah.
What can you do? You're not going to sit at home and mope for the rest of your life or beg her, continue chasing her. Yeah, you have better use for your life, I think. Yeah. So, it's obvious what you need to do. Try and detach. Take care of your kids, however possible. If you do go ahead with a divorce or whatever, I don't know whether the courts are going to grant them, as in you, the rights to them, or the woman, or it's going to be split. But whatever it is, just be there for your kids. Yeah. It may be hard, but do what you need to do. A couple of messages. Emeritus says, divorce is no crime. Don't get it twisted, bro. Opt out of the marriage, but ensure you take very good care of your kids. Do not leave the kids with a woman. Take them along. Move on with your life, even if it means you not marrying again. Lauren says, what are you waiting for, gentlemen? She and her family don't like you guys being together anymore, and you're not giving up? It's like waiting for a plane at the harbor. Kweku says, hey, people are going through things, though. If you were my brother, once these children are grown, please find your way out. From the way the woman is talking, it's either she's lost interest in the marriage or there's another man. Refusal to live in your own house, pade abba. What is that? Felicia says, this is not marriage. The yes I do was merely uttered. Some crooks are just destroying opportunities. Yep. Efia says, a faithful man who can find, but her loss. And her family supports her decision, so just settle stuff with her, divorce, and go your way. As for the future, it's in God's hand. You might never know. Mercy says it's better to divorce than cheat. So she's obviously no longer interested, and her family too isn't helping, so just leave. Georgette says, I will advise you to take the matter to your pastor, to call her and talk to her. If she still doesn't listen, then my brother, advise yourself, because she's not ready for you. Find another woman who is ready to stay with you and can satisfy your sexual needs. I rest my case. And finally, Gifty says, your wife had the guts to open her mouth to tell you to find another woman if you can. Again, she threatened you with divorce on more than one occasion. Her grandmother told you can't put up with her behavior and decision. If you can't, then they're ready to accept your divorce. Her mom hypocritically supports her. Her dad doesn't even care about what you think of his daughter at this moment. Don't go where you're not wanted. If you force her, the outcome could be disastrous, or she could live with you only out of pity. Be that as it may, I feel there's a reason why she decided to go stay with her parents and not wanting to come back to stay with you. Is there something you did to her? Is there something you're not telling the house? Because there's no smoke without fire.
Thank you so much for watching Sister Sister on your favorite City TV. Now, don't forget, if you want some more exciting content, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. We call it the City Tube. And don't forget to click on the bell to receive notifications for fresh updates.
Sister Sister, every Friday at 9 p.m. only on City TV.